and welcome to the Middlemen on Enterprise TV. I am Juro Cyril Abaku. With me today are Juro Emeka Madunago, who will be toasting to the ingenuity of African innovation, and the Juro from Rabbi Evans Ufeli, who will be talking about our emperor who has gone naked. What a curious topic that is. I will be discussing what harvest of guns have come upon us. All of these educative and interesting conversations will be when we return. Stay with us.
Middleman.
Yeah, welcome back to the Middlemen of Juros. My case, a harvest of guns. There are guns everywhere, sadly. But why guns? They only result in death, don't they? Where they are feared, they lead to deterrence. But that's another word for peace. Deterrence is another way of saying peace. Perhaps a peace that comes by force, but it is peace nonetheless. Except in Nigeria, everything we touch finds new meaning. What does Nigeria want with guns? They are not toys, are they? In 2019, a Nigerian politician, he had been a governor, later became a senator, was reported to have imported 1,000, mark you, that's the number, 1,000 AK-47 rifles. And accompanying those were 2 million bullets. Talk of starting a war. The story was that he had handed over his strange imports to the police. But the question is, what was the basis for the importation? And on whose orders? Was there legal documentation? The answer is no. Now, fast forward to today. In less than a week, the Nigerian Customs Service announced the seizure of assorted arms, drones, and military equipment worth 1.5 billion naira exported from Turkey to Lagos State. Now, before Lagos, it was River State. What happened there? There, they seized another cache of arms and ammunition worth 18.23 billion naira. Think of that for a moment. That's a lot of money. The question is, who are the people trying to start a war? And why is the Nigerian state not able to make it worthless? I mean, a worthless venture to illegally import arms into the country. Customs authorities said 848 rifles and 112,500 rounds of live ammunition, as well as illicit drugs, were all intercepted in the River State scenario. Again, the containers were originating from Turkey. Arms, drugs, and terrorism go hand in glove. And whether Nigeria understands the implication of what she's dealing with is a question I may give up trying to understand. My verdict: what can we do differently? Search out these deep pockets bent on destroying our country and let them face the music squarely. I so rule.
The transient proliferation of arms in Nigeria is one that calls for a lot of caution. We must probe this situation. You see, we are dealing with hunger, and we feel like we're exhausted already. But the story will change by the time we begin to deal with something more deeper than hunger. And if you know anything deeper than hunger, in my village, we're saying, when sorrow is added to hunger, then sorrow becomes helpless. That is it's a deep situation that we must deal with for the sake of the next generation, for the sake of our children, and for the sake of the continuity of this country called Nigeria. You have a situation where there are arms moving front, back, left, right, and center. If it were to be an election year, we will say that the politicians are importing this gun to empower their thugs. It is not an election year. We are not even close to the next election. So all these arms and ammunition that get their way into the country, what are they meant for? If I know anything that arms and ammunition are meant for, it's for the destruction of lives and properties, whichever way they are used. The persons who are importing these are not the government. Now, if you look at the United Nations Convention on the arms treaty that both countries, Turkey and Nigeria, are signatory to, there is nowhere in that treaty the purchase of it, the ownership of it, and the use of it. There is no way it is appropriated that individuals should import on behalf of a country, or that a state that is a sub-sovereign should import for the sovereign, or a local government that is a sub-sovereign. Okay? So I think it's a case that requires proper investigation. I don't know how much the customs, when they seize, I don't know how much of these cases they hand over to the police for investigation. And I don't know how thorough the police are investigating these matters and what decision the federal government have taken in the long run by this. So let it not be that those who are importing these arms are those in the society who are so powerful to the point where the police, neither the police nor the Nigerian state can tame them. Because this is a case that if we continue to sit on this gunpowder, the day it will explode, it will be a very devastating situation for us.
Yeah, I just know that I can't put this importation past the state government. Because we look at in Nigeria, who can muster 18 point something billion to import weapons like that? With such, audacity. And then with such, precise movement. Because some of these goods actually go through transshipment. Coming from Turkey, they might transship on the way, maybe in South Africa, or maybe in India, or, there might be transshipment along the way. And from that part of the world, it won't take anything less than 50 days, for a container to get to Nigeria. So when you look at it, the ability, to really move these things, of course, look at the kind of weapons, mainly pump action. A lot of times that these weapons have been intercepted, they were pump action rifles. And take note that the state governments, arm their vigilantes with pump action. So, and anything more than, cock and shoot, chakabula, I think it's only the IG that can give a license for pump action. And it's rare for the IG to give license for pump action. So, when you travel around and you see these vigilantes, you see a lot of them with the, the Dane guns, double barrel, and then some instances with pump action. Now, AK-47 rifles are not cheap. They are not cheap. They are not things you pick off the shelves. So, these things, come in routinely. Now, these are the ones that are intercepted. I want to tell you that more than that number comes into the country through the land borders, through smuggling, through the sea. So weapons are available. In fact, let me tell you, weapons are so easily available. Bullets are easily available in Nigeria. It's not a hidden thing. If you ask in the right quarters, you get the type you want. Yes. So the thing is that, insecurity has become a problem. So those fueling insecurity are in search of arms. Those who want to secure themselves against insecurity
In search of arms.
are also in search of arms. Then you now have the merchants who are ready to sell to those fueling insecurity and to those, trying to secure themselves.
Those who are also robbers.
Yeah, different types, different kidnappers.
Kidnappers are in search of arms.
And then don't forget too, when you hear that insurgents or terrorists attack or bandits attack police formations or checkpoints or convoys or military convoys, they mop up weapons from these people. They pick their weapons.
They do.
And then they keep their weapons. Then you also see vehicles are stolen. They go far. They may come as far as Lagos, steal vehicles, and move them to the east for operations. Then eventually they cannibalize them. So the cycle of crime is such that It's not just money that is laundered, but various items are laundered.
What I see in all this is that if there are no demand, there will not be supply. Now these ships what they are doing is supply. That is to say there's a huge demand, and that demand should worry us. Okay, that is the reason we hear about unknown gunmen, assassins, politicians are
bandits and all kinds of names.
Yes, even politicians are looking for arms to arm their people and all that. Even sometimes we've seen cases where governors were also accused of lawmakers accused of importing arms and all that. So it tells you that there's a serious demand for arms, and for what exactly? That is what we need to do. This is one of the signs of a failed state.
Yes. I'm glad you went there. Now, my other concern is, in addition to everything two of the respected judges have said, you see, River State happened not too long ago. Now, Lagos is also happening. And
Lagos is a constant.
Yeah, but given the history of arms smuggling that we've seen in this country, now these are the ones that they were able to detect. There could be many more. People are bringing in drones.
Can I tell you something?
What are drones for?
Can I tell you something? Some of these weapons are also headed for
other destinations,
landlocked African countries.
Yeah.
Niger, Chad, Sudan makes pump action rifle.
Drone is not firearm.
Or the civil war.
Yes.
Because of the civil war in Sudan, that may have negatively impacted on their arms industry. But some of these things are not actually ending up in Nigeria.
Nigeria is possible also.
Yes. So definitely when they brought them in, like the one in One, you saw how they tried to couch it. But you may find out at the end of the day, a foreign government may secretly claim it. The customs, that's the one problem we have in Nigeria. They will come and tell you, they made these seizures and all that. There is no follow-up. Nobody comes back to tell Nigerians.
There's no follow-up.
6 months after, what happened to that weapon? So you may find out that a foreign government may have actually ordered it. There may be some
to even make our country a gateway for this kind of thing, because if it passes through you, it leaves a mark on you.
No, but for this case,
if it is legal importation.
This case,
but it's illegal now.
But this case is
it's illegal.
This case doesn't look like arms and ammunition that is just passing through Nigeria. You know why?
The caliber of weapons.
Yeah, no, because what we have is that the ship docked here, meaning that on the bill of lading, you will see a description of the person who owns it or the company who owns it and the destination of the ship. Okay, so the ship couldn't have been headed for somewhere else and then dock here, and then it was as a result of the discharge, because when they clear and all that, custom will come and inspect to ensure that there are no contrabands and there are no illegal materials imported into the country. So it's that routine check. So if we say perhaps maybe heading for somewhere, we cannot exculpate the hands of people here who possibly have made this place a destination before maybe they take to wherever they want to take to. But the truth is that whether it's going somewhere or whether it's coming here or anywhere, these are illegal materials. Firearms are illegal. Okay, lightweights, heavyweights, and all kinds of that, they're illegal. Now, this is an avenue for the security agency to probe into this, to know the purpose of this. Someone could have put that money, that amount of money, into the import of this if it was not targeted for a purpose. What is the purpose of this? If it's purely for business, is that business allowed under our law? If it's for empower people to start a war, is war allowed under our law? So those are the questions we must ask. And we must be able to trace it down. Just like people bring in drugs, hard drugs into the country, the same way people are bringing ammunition, and it doesn't look like the federal government is serious about who is doing what, when and how. At this time. They are so fixated with how to manage the naira, the currency, the economy. So security, I don't see this government. I've not seen the effort they are putting to actually create an enabling environment for life and businesses to thrive. I've not seen it.
No. We just hope that these that customs and whoever is in charge of inspecting and checking these things are able to see them on time and then alert Nigerians to the fact that we can't rest on our oars. We hope that these weapons don't end up in the wrong hands in this country, who will only end up causing mayhem and more destruction. When we return, Jura Evans Ufeli would be taking on us on a poetic journey of why our emperor has no clothes to wear. Stay tuned.
Middleman.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. My case, our emperor has no clothes. Many years ago, there was an emperor so exceedingly fond of new clothes that he spent all his money on being well dressed. He cared nothing about reviewing his soldiers, going to the theater, or going for a ride in his carriage, except to show off his new clothes. He had a coat for every hour of the day. And instead of saying, as one might, about any other ruler, the kings in council, here they always said the emperor in his dressing room. In the great city where he lived, life was always gay. Every day, many strangers come to town, and among them, one day came two swindlers. They let it be known they were weavers, and they said they could weave the most magnificent fabric imaginable. Not only were their colors and patterns uncommonly fine, but clothes made of this cloth had a wonderful way of becoming invisible to anyone who was unfit for his office or who was unusually stupid. Those will be just the clothes for me, thought the emperor. If I wore them, I would be able to discover which men in my empire are unfit for their posts. And I could tell the wise men from the fools. Yes, I certainly must get some of the stuff woven for me right away. He paid the two swindlers so large sum of money to start work at once. They set up two looms and pretended to weave, though there was nothing on the loom. All the finest silk and the purest old thread which they demanded went into their traveling bags, while they walked the empty loom far into the night. I would like to know how these weavers are getting on with the clothes, the emperor thought. But he felt slightly uncomfortable when he remembered that those who were unfit for their position would not be able to see the fabrics. It couldn't have been that he doubted himself, yet he thought he would rather send someone else to see how things were going. The whole town knew about the clothes' peculiar power, and all were impatient to find out how stupid their neighbors were. I will send my honest old minister to the weavers, the emperor decided. He will be the best one to tell me how the material looks, for he is a sensible man, and no one does his duty better. So the honest old minister went to the room where the two swindlers sat working away at their empty looms. Heavens help me, he thought, as his eyes flew wide open. I can't see anything at all. But he did not say so. Both the swindlers begged him to be so kind as to come near to approve the excellent pattern, the beautiful colors. They pointed to the empty loom, and the poor old minister stares as hard as he dared. He couldn't see anything because there was nothing to see. Heavens help me, heavens have mercy, he thought. Can it be that I am a fool? Speaking to himself. I would have never guessed it. And not a soul must know I am unfit to be the minister. It would never do to let on that I can't see the clothes. Don't hesitate to tell us what you think of, said the weavers. Oh, it is beautiful. It is enchanting. The old minister peered through the spectacle. Such a pattern. What colors? I will be sure to tell the emperor how delighted I am with it. We are pleased to hear that, the swindler said. They proceeded to name all the colors and explain the intricate patterns. The old minister paid the closest attention to that. He could tell the king or the emperor what he has seen. And so he did. The swindlers at once asked for more money, more silk and gold thread to get on with the weaving. But it all went into their pockets. Not a thread went into the loom. Though they worked at their weaving as hard as ever, the emperor presently sent another trustworthy official to see how the work progressed and how soon it will be ready. The same thing happened to him that happened to the minister. He looked and he looked, but there was nothing to see in the loom. He couldn't see anything. Isn't it a beautiful piece of goods? The swindler asked him as they display and describe their imaginary patterns. I know, I'm not surprised, the man thought. So it must be that I am unworthy of my good office. That's strange. I mustn't let anyone find out though. So he praised the material. He praised the material he did not see. He declared he was delighted with the beautiful colors and the exquisite pattern. So, to the emperor he said, it held me spellbound, emperor. All the town was talking of these splendid clothes, and the emperor wanted to see it for himself while it was still in the loom. Attended by band of chosen men, among whom were his two old trusted officials, the ones who had been to the weavers. He set out to see the two swindlers. He found them weaving with might and main, but without a thread in their loom. Magnificent, said the two officials, already duped. Just look, your majesty, what colors, what design? They pointed to the empty loom, each supposing that the other could see the stuff. What's this? Thought the emperor. I can't see anything. This is terrible. Am I a fool? Am I unfit to be the emperor? What a thing to happen to me of all people. Oh, it is very pretty, he said. It has my highest approval. And he nodded approbation to the empty loom. Nothing could make him say that he couldn't see anything. His whole retinue stared and stared. One saw no more than another, but they all joined the emperor in exclaiming, "Oh, it is very pretty." And they advised him to wear clothes made of this wonderful clothes, especially for the great procession he was soon to lead. Magnificent, excellence, unsurpassed, were bandied from mouth to mouth, and everyone did his best to seem well pleased. The emperor gave each of the swindler a cross to wear in their buttonhole, and he titled this Sir Waver, which is a title, more like a promotion for them. Before the procession, the swindlers set up all night and burned more than 6 candles to show how busy they were fishing the emperor's new clothes. They pretended to take the clothes off the loom. They made cuts in their hair with huge scissors, like cutting on the hair, cutting nothing with huge scissors. And at last, they said, "Now, the emperor's new clothes are ready for him." Then the emperor himself came with his novelist noblemen, and the swindlers each raised an arm as if they were holding something. They said, "These are the trousers, here is the coat, and this is the mantle," naming each garment. All of them are as light as spider web. One would almost think he had nothing on, but that's what makes them so fine. Exactly, all the noblemen agree, though they could not see anything, for there was nothing to see. "If your Imperial Majesty will condescend to take your clothes off," said the swindlers, "we will help you on with your new ones here in front of the long mirror." The emperor undressed, and the swindlers pretend to put on new clothes on him, one garment after another. They took him around the waist and seemed to be fastening something. That was his train as the emperor turned around and round before looking glass. "How well your Majesty new clothes look. Aren't they becoming?" He heard on all sides, "The patterns, so perfect. Those colors are so suitable. It is a magnificent outfit." Then the Minister of Public Procession announced, "Your Majesty's canopy is waiting outside." "Well, I am supposed to be ready," the emperor said, and turned again for one last look in the mirror. "It is a remarkable feat, isn't it?" He seemed to regard his costume with the greatest interest. The noblemen who were to carry his train stooped low and reached for the floor as if they were picking up his mantle. Then they pretended to lift and hold it high. They didn't dare admit they had nothing to hold. So off went the emperor in the procession under the splendid canopy. Everyone in the streets and windows said, "Oh, how fine are the emperor's new clothes. Don't they fit him in perfection?" and see his long train, nobody would confess that he couldn't see anything, for that would prove him either unfit for his position or a fool. No costume the emperor had worn before was ever such a complete success, but he hadn't got anything on. A little child said, "Did you ever had such innocent prattle?" Said its father. And one person whispered to another what the child had said. "He hasn't anything on." A child says he hasn't anything on, but he hasn't got anything on. The whole town cried out at last. The emperor shivered, for he suspected they were right, but he thought this procession has got to go on. So he walked more proudly than ever, as his noblemen held high the train that was there at all. My verdict: when a leader surrounds himself with yes men, it often leads to absurd and embarrassing results. It is far better to surround oneself with honest people who are unafraid to ask questions or point out deficiency as they see them. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Very interesting.
Deep and moving.
Depicts the frailty of man, the dishonesty, the deceit, and the depravity of people who just want to cling on to straws in their bid, to avoid drowning in the squalor that is daily human existence. Even among the rich and the poor, we are all in a quest for survival. The rich may seem to have it all, but if I want to permit me to drag names into it, I look at Aliko Dangote, president of Dangote Group. Some days ago, he said, right at the presidential villa, Abuja, he said that the economy cannot grow with 35% interest rate. So nobody has come to echo what he said, but he said the truth.
Perhaps it was the child that cried out and said, "But the emperor is naked."
No, I'm coming. So he has said it, but everybody, but nobody wants to come out.
My God, this is the story.
Remember that it's in this same country in July 2023 that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a state of emergency on food security. He admitted that truly there was food scarcity.
That was in July last year.
July 2023. He admitted. He set up a committee, gave them terms of reference. If I said they gave them white powers.
Wide berth.
Now, what has happened?
Nothing.
They pretended, yes, to be seeing the invisible clothes of the emperor. Everything the emperor told them, go and do. Of course, they set about really working, holding meetings and all of that. While food items became more expensive, while the economy was hard, like the swindlers really hard at tearing even the remaining clothes on the emperor, till it got to a point that even the emperor is saying, truly, it's so bad. But he knows it's so bad. He knows that those people have swindled him, but because of vainglory, he doesn't want to admit that, look, in the area of food security, I have failed. And so everybody carries on with that deceit. That is the story of Nigeria today.
Frankly speaking, I'm struck, because while I was reading the story, I came to a quiet conclusion that I could rename this story as When Liars Believe Their Lies. First, it is behind public glare. Eventually, it brings them into disgrace. When liars believe their lies. It's a problem because the emperor initially, it was only in the loom everything was happening. They all believed the lie until they came out, and he took a child, he took an innocent person who had nothing to lose, to just wake up and say, but the emperor is naked. In that same society, there are older men who perhaps by reason of years and experience will be saying, but why is he naked? And they will keep quiet. But the child spoke up. It is important that we speak up and point to the ill. Because if we didn't, I don't know whether it would be different from those who see it and don't say anything, and those who are just outside and are not pretending not to see. But that child spoke up and said, something is wrong here. In our country, something is definitely, most definitely wrong. But again, leaders like to surround themselves with people who tell them, who are sycophants, who tell them how good they look,
Who feed their ego.
how their speeches are the best, how their clothes are. This is why in the government something goes wrong. You imagine that you even have the president's spokesman fighting to defend what is indefensible. You have one spokesman saying the president will address, and another comes out and say it's a lie. Ideally, one of them should have voluntarily taken a walk to say, I can't be in a government where we are fighting over very basic things. But what's happened? All of them are keeping their jobs. And then what that leads to now is the other one that didn't get his information correctly will now want to draw closer to the leader. To want to say, oh God, please let me be in a good book. So that anything I want to say is what's coming from my mouth, from you directly. What does that now lead to? They now try to be closer to the man, like they say, lick his boots and so on. There's a word I learned some years ago, was called gaslighting. That people call, actually it's more like disinformation. They come and tell you, they come and remove what you know, and then plant the lie in your head and you believe it.
And water it.
And plant it. This is what happened here. This initially they said that it was not true. There was nothing in the loom. Then the man said that let me not be the odd one out.
No, the metaphor of it is that if you are unable to see the dress, it means that you are unfit for your job and you are a fool. So in order not to, because if the king wears the dress, anyone that cannot see it,
yes,
is not fit for his position. And
They have to hold on to their position.
So in order to hold on to their position,
they have to fit the lie.
they ensure that they are seeing it. So that's why they will speak to themselves first. They will first of all speak out. I can't see it. Then they bring that to say, come closer. When you come, look at it from this side. They will not look at it. In their mind, they will not be saying, I'm about to lose my job. I'm about to be declared a foolish man. And I'm about to, so they will not say, yes, I can see it now. What a pattern. Powerful pattern.
You know the man.
Do you know the interesting thing? I actually saw a real life exhibition of this thing. An exhibition somewhere in Europe. I don't remember the country. There was a photograph of people staring at a wall, and I think they call it the invisible exhibition. Real life. Somebody just said, put lights on the wall and said, when you looked at the wall long enough, then you could imagine what. And I felt that I looked at the picture. I said, what exactly is wrong with all of these people?
But for people that have something to lose, they won't say that. What you said now.
No, but it was an exhibition. It was a real exhibition.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But what happened was that you had to look at the wall
And
the
imagine.
lighted wall and just imagine. And people stood and were saying, and I said, what?
Yes.
Can people be so easily?
No, but we had it not too long ago. Now the president went to Saudi Arabia and took almost half of the country on an aircraft to go for not Saudi Arabia, Dubai. They went for this is coup 2024.
COP 20.
Yes. Are you going to tell me that among all the personnel sitting in that aircraft, there were no people, there were no persons there who knew that this
was wrong.
This was a frivolous journey. This was jamboree. We are not going anywhere.
Including the one that was called Item 7.
We just want to fly. And when they got there, they started checking into hotels. They started paying money,
And
Nigerian
shopping.
money. Nobody could tell the president, Mr. President, this is our waka na bad waka.
Is meaningless.
You will lose your job because you cannot see.
You will not go again.
You cannot see the dress, and you will be declared foolish. You will not go again. So everyone, including those who were motivational speakers and the activists before they were appointed, they were in that aircraft.
And saw no evil and
wasting the nation's resources. But if the moment they say no, this is wrong, this is not good, that's the day they will lose their job, and that's exactly what played out.
And look at what happened after that COP 20. it talks about environmental rights, as human rights. After they had all gone from different places, then it now rained on July 2024. Everywhere it rained, there was flooding. You know what people came out? No, after all, it rained in Dubai early this year. It rained in Siberia. It rained.
Is that same spirit? Is that same spirit? Yes.
Those two officials that went to the loom, they saw nothing. They all represent those guys that went to Dubai and thought they had while they were all dozing, and then came back, and then the innocent child happened to be the flood that caught people in traffic. That even went as far as Oshodi, went everywhere, even on train tracks. Like for the first time, we said Nigeria had a marine train, a train that was running on water. Wonder shall never cease.
I remember the story of a man in this country who told the military president and said, "You want me to annul the elections? I won't do it. I won't do your bidding." The story we had back then was that he was given a slap and he landed in the hospital. But at least he told the man, "I wouldn't do this part with you." And that man has largely avoided the infamy that has greeted that whole incident, that has written that military head of state's name into Nigeria's book of infamy. So yes, I mean, there was a man. If as a leader you have people who stand up to you, it's a blessing. As far as it's constructive and telling the truth, because when you surround yourself with only those who be telling you psychophantic stories and stuff like that.
Yes, men.
Yes,
they are called yes men.
You're going to wind up.
And this president have that problem because 90% of the people in his cabinet were people he prided himself to be a mentor of so many persons, which is true. We know how he raised Fashola, raised all of them, the Aregbe Sholas of this world and all that, mentored them when he was in exile. The ones that joined him, he housed them, he paid for their food, he did so much as now he has raised people so much so that he became a president. He now drew them unto himself, just like the Bible said. He drew men unto himself. Now he drew these men unto himself. Now, unfortunately, these are all yes men, sycophants, eye service men. None of them are able to tell him that this subsidy that you remove it's not the right thing, because you'll be declared foolish and you will lose your job. Once you cannot see the garment, the emperor is naked. It took a child that, why everybody praise the emperor? You are naked. Before everybody got to the realization that the emperor insisted that he's okay, he's doing the right thing because the procession must continue. There have been criticisms. The other day, the president fell on the ground. He stood up. The next day, the same day, the evening, he said,
I dobale for democracy.
I dobale. Some people were confused. They thought it was Babariga or
Bugariga.
Or Buga. Some people thought it was Buga or Babariga. That's likened to the emperor, who, when he discovered that the child was right, insisted that the procession must continue. You understand? So it just paints a case of the Nigerian state where people are not ready to do the right thing because of their stomach.
Face the truth.
Because people cannot be honest because of their stomach. Even old men. The two ministers, very trusted ones, who have experience, when they saw nothing and said they've seen something, and they describe how fantastic what they saw. It's likened to some of our elder statesmen who will not say the truth because of what they stand to gain for the remaining part of their lives, not what the next generation will stand to benefit if they spoke out and do the right thing. So it's a very pathetic case.
Even when the president went to South Africa, there was a story about Ramaphosa not giving him a handshake, for snubbing him.
Yes.
We saw it happen, actually.
Yes, happen, yes.
Then the argument they raised was that on the first row, there were only traditional rulers on the first row. But we saw Dennis Nguesso on the first row.
It's not traditional ruler.
And given the proximity of the do you know Ramaphosa's wife was about to shake President
He
Tinubu's
stopped the wife.
The man took say please turn, let's go. That's what he did. You see, so clearly, but they came out, but they lied about it.
They lied about. They don't want anybody to see the truth.
Okay, if we continue like barrister, we are talking about the president being surrounded by yes men. Actually, I recall the Vice President Oshibajo, before he became president in 2015, said that the president loves them because they always argue and debate with him. I don't doubt it. People will tell you that if you went to meet him, the people who always have debates with him even late into the night. What they never observed was that all those people that go and hold debates with him, in the end, he does not do what they want him to do. It was the reason he nearly pushed Fashola out of the corridor. The corridor power. If you notice, Fashola isn't particularly close to that inner circle. He's only brought in when he needs to be brought in. But in terms of proximity, he's not there. Because I think that somehow, I mean, this is the height of it. Over 20-something years, through the years, all the men you've raised. This is the time when you really need to draw the harvest of this. And they're there between Abuja. But all those debates you've been having, do you know? One time we were interviewing a farmer, one of the biggest farmers in this country, and he said there was a time the president, when he was even out of office, sent the delegation to meet farmers across the country and ask them what are the things that they will need, how will they like agriculture to be repositioned in the country, and they give a lot of advice. All those papers and all the footmen went to get those advice from the council from the farmers. Where are all those things today? Tons and tons of them. They are lying fallow soil because the emperor himself, perhaps Ab initio, had no real intention.
No intention.
He will just commission weavers. They're all swindlers.
Yes.
He will pay them. Go and look for this. Go and look for that. But in the end, he's not using what they.
He's not using it. When we return, Emeka Madunago will be celebrating Africa's ingenuity.
Middleman.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. My case, a toast to African ingenuity. Some days ago, a Senegalese American, Aisha Toussa Evans, professionally known as Aisha Evans, unveiled a unique self-driving car known as Zoox. Her company, which was acquired by Amazon for $1.3 billion in June 2020, designed the electric car to meet general human needs. Aisha was born in Senegal and raised in Paris. She later emigrated to the United States, where she got a degree in computer engineering from George Washington University. Within 1 year of joining Zoox, an autonomous vehicle technology company, she raised it to the level that attracted the attention of and capital from Amazon. It's a compact four-wheel steer for 4 riders and has no provision for a driver. Powered by a 133 kWh battery, Zoox also has 100 safety innovations, including an airbag that wraps itself around the riders in the event of a mishap. An excerpt from Zoox.com reads, "Mobility designed around you. We are inventing personal transportation, making the future safer, cleaner, and more enjoyable for everyone. It's on-demand autonomous ride-hailing. Let Zoox handle the traffic while you enjoy a smooth, relaxing ride in a spacious cabin designed around you." My verdict: Nigeria needs innovators and futuristic investors who will deploy their energies into making life much simpler and more enjoyable. Like somebody said, God bless Africa with many problems. Solve one with an innovation and create boundless opportunities for shared prosperity. Aisha grew up like any average African child, but has conquered an everyday problem: convenient mobility. Yes, we can, to paraphrase former US President Barack Obama.
Now, you see, Dennis Brutus wrote the poem, Africa, My Africa. David Diop, rather. Africa, my Africa. Africa of great warrior and ancestral savannah. Africa of which my grandmother sang. On the bank of a distant river. I have never known you, but your blood flows in my veins. Your beautiful black blood that irrigates the field of your sweat, the sweat of your slavery, the slavery of your Africa. Tell me, Africa. Africa and Africans have made huge impact in the world, not just in the 21st century. Back then, the principles that laid the foundation for modern day arithmetic and mathematics were traced traceable to Africa. The hosts of Pythagoras and the host of philosophers developed arithmetic and mathematics, which they learned from Africa and domesticated same. Engineering and the rest of the measurements emanated from Egypt, and the fundamental principles of science have been traced to Africa. So, but Africa lost it along the line because it couldn't manage its own space. Colonialism got into the way, and Africa was stretched for many years. In some places, there were interferences for almost 200 years, 100 years, apart from Ethiopia, that retained its basic and organic cultural indulgences. Many other African countries had theirs flooded with Western culture and all that. So I read this story, the story of the yes, that developed this, and to say that one person, you know, he went to a conventional university just like any other person.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I think what separated him from another person was not because she was African. This has a lot to do with commitment, discipline, purpose, and a desire to make a difference, which she did. And this is a call to duty for Africans, speaking from this point of view that, I mean, we're making a mark in the sand of time, but most of these inventions you see all over, you go to the US, Nigerians are the most schooled people in the US. Every Nigerian you see, almost all Nigerians you see, want to get a PhD in the US. And that counts as plus for us. But what we must not forget is that we must develop ourselves to the point where we will be a point the world over, will be a point of reckoning the world over. And that has been the strength of the African states. So this kudos to her and Amazon and everyone who have also supported her in this quest. This is a great achievement to the African states.
Quite frankly, yeah, and quite frankly speaking, I am delighted. You know, this is not just another vehicle; it's a groundbreaker.
Yes.
Yes, that you can sit
on man.
Yes, you
just
can,
like a drone.
Exactly. You can sit by a street corner in front of your house and order a ride, and then it comes right to where you are. You know, you can go into the vehicle, the car, and then it takes you to where you want to go. The map, everything has been automated. Somehow, I fear that the reason a thinker in Nigeria, say in Lagos, or a thinker in Nairobi, or a thinker in, let's even say, Accra or Lumumbashi, may not think outside far wide enough, is because sometimes when innovation lacks enabling infrastructure, it is difficult to envision certain parameters that you can break. Right? That's one. Number two is the fact that I agree, barrister, with the juror from Rabbi. She may not have essentially, you know, see, we are celebrating her because she's African. But she didn't do this because she's African. She did it because she followed the principles. I mean, I believe in human genius. That's why I study countries like Israel and Germany very, very well. I like the way they organize themselves and what they become over time from relatively nothing. Okay? There was an opportunity Nigeria missed. There's a book they say, in Biafra, Africa died. I maintain, it was after it was some years ago, I read an interview by Professor Chukwemeka Ike. He has passed on now. Yeah. He was an author. The Bottle Leopard, Naked Ghost, and books like that. You know, before he died, he became a king in Abia State.
In Anambra State.
In Anambra. He said that after the Nigerian Civil War, at Nsukka, University of Nsukka, there was a well that had been destroyed during the war. So they told Nigerian military engineers to come from Lagos. They came. They couldn't revive the well. So one day he said he told Professor, Professor Bamiru, also said, no, Professor, I can't pick the name. He said, Professor so and so, come. During the war, you were in R&D. This well is not giving us water. He said in less than 2 weeks, that well came back to life. It was something even Nigerian army engineers could not bring back to life. It's just an example. Another example I got when I was in 100 level in my school, I was told that at Onsuka, a mechanical engineering graduate had produced a machine that could help to peel oranges automatically. Now, it's not for want of talent. We have abundant talent. But when the climate is not enabling, during the war, a lot of things, a lot of innovations took place, which could have been recorded, patented, and then brought into Nigeria, as America did after World War II, when they took the likes of Werner von Braun. It was von Braun that designed the V2 bombers that were bombing England and London and so on. He was the same man that when America went and saw the level of Nazi science, they brought Operation Paperclip, where they took 104 Hitler scientists to America, gave them houses, von Braun was the chief aeronautical engineer. He was one who took America to the moon after the Soviets landed. You know, when Kennedy said they should go to the moon, it was von Braun. It was Nazi science that took America to the moon, and that had come years after Albert Einstein. You know, Einstein was German. He fled when lacking the planet in 1933. He fled. A lot of them fled. They said we can't stay with this kind of government. Autocracy won't help us to think. So they fled to where did they fly? Run to America. After the war, where did von Braun and co go to? America. If you create a climate of freedom of thought, freedom of circulation, America is a habit. You will never hear a lot of people, like a lot of American, even Nvidia, that is not the world's most valuable company. Nvidia that produce chips for AI. They beat Microsoft. They beat all the other companies.
There was a radio station I followed in America while I was in the US for straight 1 month in the afternoon between the hour of 11 to 12, 11 to 12:30. That is that program for that period is titled Confessional Poetry. Poets from all over US will call in and read out and recite their poems. And the weight and the cosmic energy that lives on the environment, reverberates. Because thinkers, innovators, inventors, they need enough words, enough expressions from others, from people to pick imagination, pick the beats
from deep places.
Yes, from deep places. They need that. So they create that environment where their programs are skewed and structured in such a way that everyone is being empowered on radio, just radio. That's one channel only. And then the environment, the economic environment makes, the roads, the way the roads are constructed, the way the environment is and all that. You just get there and you just discover some new things about yourself that you never knew, that you couldn't have ever known if you had not been exposed.
Yes. You can imagine under Vice President Yemi Oshibajo, there was a young man from Kaduna who designed a car. Nigerians have been designing cars. They've been designing. There was a young man who brought the car to Abuja. Even I think Vice President that rode in it with him or something. Then after you take it, what now happens?
You abandon it.
He dies. What we even need now, interestingly, Zook, as welfareist as I am, Zook was not a government project. No. Zook was a company, a private initiative. And that's what has always moved America from one level to another. SpaceX is not government. SpaceX is one man's business. Elon Musk, right? Twitter, Facebook, all of the things that define American civilization today are not government owned, they are private sector led. If you have companies running out of Nigeria at alarming speed, you are also letting those who can fund and build dreams to take a dive. What I think we should be doing is, how can we create an environment in which private individuals can take initiative, can help, like that young boy that took the phone of the EFCC chairman and looked at it and said, Oga, I can move the money in your account, and he moved it. Why has this boy not gone to the military defense headquarters to say, okay, how can they also help to do things?
To train.
This is yes.
But part of the problem also has to do with our perception as a people. What is our perception? The other day, I saw somebody posted something on Facebook. He said one young man, a Yoruba man, that's how it usually starts.
That's the
Yoruba man developed a car called the name. in Yoruba land.
You see, short-sightedness.
You see, one thing people don't realize
He has
is
killed
that
the dream in
there was a time Germany was known as Deutschland, right?
Deutschland. So that's what they are in their language. Deutschland.
Now, but internationally, it's known as Germany.
Yeah,
Germany.
Right?
In English speaking world, yes.
Good. And name it. You know, there's a reason why you see cities, nations adopt international identities.
Yes.
Because in that way, when people look at your country or they look at your city, you know, they envision, you know, the fact that they can link up with you. And so they don't have to think of, you know, how will you sell that a project is in Igbo land? Where is that?
You know,
People are even battling with telling them I'm from Nigeria. They ask you, where is that?
Yeah.
It's in Africa.
Yes.
They are battling with that. And then you are even trying to worsen
The situation.
the matter by saying it's in Ikwere land, or it's in Idoma land, or it's in... You see, the way we as Nigerians should start thinking, we should be international. We should be global
In our
in our thinking. Because you know why? There are so many jobs out there in Nigeria. Skills. Real skills. You can call it everyday skills. Look at the tiles on the floor. How many young men and even women today are ready to get trained? And you know, there's a machine now that makes tiling of buildings faster. How many of them will be willing to get trained and write a proposal, which they can even get through ChatGPT? ChatGPT can even do a proposal
for you.
and then send it to Bank of Industry to say, I need a loan because I'm a tiler and I want to make my business better. How many of them will do that? So there are many jobs. There are jobs. But you know what? The jobs are jobs that challenge creativity, which is what this Aisha has done. Creativity, because if you look at her trajectory, you know, wasn't in 2019 she joined the Zooks. But look at what she did. Within a year, she got Amazon interested.
Yes, $1.5 billion.
Yes, she got Amazon interested. This same woman appeared against one big American company in an antitrust case. You know, she said, yeah, because of the passion that innovations must make life better, must be accessible to everyone, which is one problem we have in Africa. So you see people, you know, or like you have the band A, the band A classification.
Oh, please.
Then you see, yes, right?
You have made the matter very bad now.
No, you have the band A classification.
Go to work.
That electricity is for
a certain class of people. That's an affront on the nation.
Then you come, you know, you build certain exclusive.
That's an affront on inclusion.
You build certain exclusive neighborhoods. You call them Banana Island, Lekki. When it rains, you will expect to see the ingenuity, creative force of, you know, architects and designers. I will say, I built a city. I built an estate in Lagos that no matter the flood. Now, no matter the flood,
you'll be disappointed.
People living there will drive out, in and out, without, you know, they will drive up to 10 or 20 kilometers.
You'll be disappointed, though.
Nothing.
You won't see all that.
They still the same basic.
Some people who are pushing carts, these malams, you know, we're using it to ferry people across.
It's a sad story.
And the Lagos State government came and arrested them. I don't understand. Arresting them now. Paraded them yesterday. My question, under what law now are you going to charge them?
We sometimes act like
under what law?
Like we're doing.
So I mean, we need to apart from the fact that we don't have the enabling environment for the few creatives that are left in this country. If for nothing, the government need to create that enabling environment for them to rescue the larger society from what we find ourselves.
Yes.
Okay. We hope that we'll get to that day when somebody will actually invent something where you won't even need these discos and bands and whatever in Nigeria. I'm positive about that. Somebody is going to the same way GSM put power in the hands
of people.
And
I
believe that the electricity, there is going to be
something
revolutionary turnaround. And in fact, many of these big companies are just going to become producers of maybe solar panels and things and abandon all this disco they're dancing. That's all on Middlemen for today. Many thanks to my fellow jurors and our viewers. If you're yet to subscribe to our social media platforms, kindly click on the subscribe button. Do not forget to like, share, and comment. Join us next time at Enterprise TV 7 and kindly visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. See you next time. Goodbye from us.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.